Augustine, born in 1989 in a town bordering Benue, had shouldered the weight of his family after his father's death. Selling the family land for 4 million Naira, a significant sum in their world, felt like a betrayal and a desperate act of love. He'd entrusted the money, the entirety of his family's legacy, to Blessing, his beautiful 23-year-old girlfriend. The money was for their wedding, a future he'd envisioned filled with the promise of a life together. He pictured a small house, maybe a little plot of land to start a farm, a life far removed from the dust and drudgery of his warehouse job in Ikeja. Blessing, with her radiant smile and infectious laughter, had been his anchor, his reason for enduring the relentless grind. He'd envisioned a future built on this foundation of love and sacrifice. But that future, once so clear, now shimmered with a threatening uncertainty. A week passed without a word from Blessing, her silence a chilling contrast to her usual bubbly personality. His attempts to reach her were met with unanswered calls and messages, fueling a growing anxiety that gnawed at his peace. His desperate search led him to her workplace in Ajah, a modern restaurant where she worked as a cook, only to find she had resigned without a trace. The restaurant manager offered no clues. He was left with the crushing reality that Blessing was likely gone, vanished as quickly as her reassurances had once been plentiful. The weight of his loss pressed down on Augustine, heavier than the humid Lagos air. He felt the slow, agonizing seep of despair as he boarded a bus heading back to Ikeja, the journey a blur of anxious thoughts. The bus, one of those crowded 14-seater minibuses, encountered mechanical trouble on a bridge overlooking the murky waters. The alternator and battery had failed, plunging the vehicle into darkness and sparking a heated argument between the passengers, driver, and conductor. Lost in his own silent turmoil, Augustine stepped out of the chaotic scene, the arguing voices fading into the background noise of his crushing grief. The bridge's edge was close, an unwitting invitation, a tragically simple solution to the overwhelming pain. The river beckoned, promising a release from his despair. He didn't hesitate, a silent prayer, perhaps, for a reunion with his departed father, or simply an escape from the unbearable agony of betrayal. He leaned over the railing, the water reflecting the dying light, and plunged into the depths. The sudden splash silenced the noisy argument of the bus passengers. Everyone stopped, staring with horror at the young man who had just ended his life, or so they thought. The cold water shocked him awake, a painful slap of reality. He struggled against the current, fighting for breath, the weight of his actions pressing down on him. He didn't drown, not entirely. Fortunately, a group of fishermen, returning home after a day's work, spotted him struggling in the water. They pulled him into their canoe, their rough hands rescuing him not only from death, but from the depths of his despair. Pulled ashore, shivering and exhausted, Augustine looked up at the sky, the stars twinkling amidst the growing darkness. He had been given a second chance, a reprieve from the crushing weight of his heartbreak. He knew the road to recovery would be long and arduous, filled with the need to confront his pain and learn from his mistakes. The loss of Blessing would always be a scar, a reminder of his naivety and the devastating consequences of blind trust. Yet, the river had not claimed his life, it had offered him a chance to rebuild. This time, he would build a different future, one based on self-reliance and the unwavering strength of his own spirit. The 4 million Naira was gone, but he still had his life. And that, he realized, was more valuable than all the money in the world.